Returning home on New Year's Day, my husband, supporting his white moonlight, confidently handed me a standing ticket. "This is Luna's ticket. You two should swap." Seeing that I didn't move, Theo Lin nudged me a couple of times. "Mila Sue, I'm talking to you. Did you hear me? Luna is pregnant. Why don't you give her your sleeper ticket?" I finally looked up, staring coldly at the two of them, and refused outright. "This is my ticket. Why should I give it to Luna Tang?" The pain, torn apart by the train, still spread throughout my body, and I couldn't help but hug my arms tightly. "This time, I will absolutely not compromise with you again." Theo Lin didn't expect me to reject him in public, and he couldn't save face. In front of everyone around, he started to criticize me. "Mila Sue, Luna is just 3 months pregnant, and it's a time when the pregnancy is unstable. As a fellow woman, how can you have no sympathy at all? How can you be in good health and not help the disadvantaged?" Luna Tang puffed out her belly toward me and looked at me with a pitiful expression. "Sister Mila, I'm not trying to take your sleeper birth, it's just that I'm not feeling well. Please, have some pity on me. I had a hard time getting pregnant with this child, and the doctor said I shouldn't overexert myself. That's why I'm shamelessly bothering you." After saying that, she symbolically wiped away a few tears. With her and Theo Lin playing off each other, they completely portrayed me as a heartless person. The surrounding passengers couldn't stand it any longer and started speaking up to persuade me. "She's pregnant. What's the harm in giving up your seat? It's not like you'll lose a piece of flesh. If it were my friend, I wouldn't hesitate to give up my seat for them. Look at that pregnant woman's pale face. How can you be so heartless?" I looked coldly at the people around me making sarcastic remarks. Indeed, people are always quick to be generous with others' resources and solve others' problems. In my previous life, I was hindered by their words. Under the verbal attacks from these people, I was forced to switch places with Luna Tang. She comfortably lay on the sleeper I bought and had a wonderful sleep. It wasn't that I didn't try to negotiate with Luna Tang to switch back midway, but was sternly refused by Theo Lin with the words, "Don't disturb a pregnant woman's rest." I ended up standing in the crowded train carriage for over 40 hours straight. My spirits were low, and my legs were sore and weak. Finally, when we arrived at the station, I shakily stepped off the train, only to lose my balance and accidentally knock over Luna Tang, who was walking ahead of me. She held her stomach in pain while glaring at me resentfully. "Mila Sue, I just lay on your bunk. And now you're trying to kill my child." I was about to explain, "It's not like that," but Theo Lin slapped me hard and sent me flying. "You bitch, stay away from Luna." I lost my balance, my feet slipped, and I tumbled straight down onto the tracks, crushed beyond recognition by the oncoming train. The police only ruled my death as an accident. It had no impact on the lives of Theo Lin and Luna Tang. In fact, because of my death, Theo Lin rightfully inherited my house and savings. And he and Luna Tang began living a shameless life together. Thoughts returned to the present. The pain of dismemberment still faintly radiated from various parts of the body. Watching Theo Lin, whose heart and eyes were filled only with Luna Tang, I was utterly disappointed. After 3 years of marriage, I thought my efforts would move this man before me. Unfortunately, as time went by, he only became more demanding and took it for granted to order me around. Looking at Theo Lin's face, which once attracted me, now only disgust remains, I crossed my arms and let out a cold laugh. "I bought the ticket, and I say no, so it's no." Theo Lin grew even angrier at my refusal. "Mila Sue, can you stop being so willful? Luna is pregnant." I responded indifferently with an "Oh, she's pregnant. So why did she buy a standing ticket?" Luna Tang's face flushed bright red in an instant, but I had no intention of stopping, knowing she's pregnant and still buying a standing ticket. Then trying to guilt-trip the sleeper passengers. If I didn't know better, I'd think it was a scam. If she doesn't care about the child in her womb, why should I, an outsider, have to worry about it for her? After saying this, he paused and glanced around the room. If I didn't know any better, I'd think the child in her womb was mine. The child in her womb is willing to call me mother, but it depends on whether I'm willing to acknowledge it. Luna Tang looked at me with grievance. Her eyes filled with tears. "Mila, how could you falsely accuse me? You were the one who bought this standing ticket for me. How could you wrong me like this? I told you I was pregnant when you bought the ticket, yet you insisted on getting me a standing one. Are you trying to harm my child out of resentment because you saw that I'm pregnant and you can't conceive yourself? How could a pregnant woman like me stand for so long?" After saying this, she choked up and began to cry. I didn't expect her to think so quickly and shift the conflict back onto me, and Theo Lin beside her was even more heartbroken, holding Luna Tang in his arms without any hesitation. "Don't cry, it's not good for the baby." Then he said with remorse and self-blame, "It's all my fault. I originally wanted Mila Su to buy you a ticket, but I never expected she would get you a standing ticket. Truly, the female heart is the most venomous." Even the crowd that had just calmed down began to seethe with righteous indignation again. First, they comforted Luna Tang. "I say, dear, your mood is the most important thing during pregnancy. Please don't cry anymore. With us here, you can rest assured, we won't let you suffer any injustice." Gave me a good scolding. "How could you be like this? You knew she was pregnant and still bought her a standing ticket. Did you lose your conscience to a dog? You look decent and young. And you've probably been educated. How could you do something so heartless and immoral?" Facing the crowd's accusations, I remained unashamed and unapologetic, watching Theo Lin and Luna Tang clinging to each other intimately across from me. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly. "Oh, so it's my fault then?" At my sudden change in attitude, the surrounding passengers were stunned for a moment before quickly chiming in. "If you know you're wrong, then hurry up and give your seat to the pregnant woman." "Exactly, that's more like it. It's a great virtue to correct one's mistakes when they are recognized." I stared intently at Luna Tang and Theo Lin, not missing the fleeting look of triumph in their eyes, trying to steal my sleeper berth. No way. Just as everyone was about to breathe a sigh of relief, my lazy voice sounded again. "Luna Tang did ask me to buy her a ticket." Everyone looked at me with confusion, except she only transferred me $100 but asked me to buy her a 500 yuan sleeper ticket, as if my card was her personal ATM. "Everyone, help me judge this. Should I just accept my bad luck, or should I accept my bad luck and be the sucker?" The tone was full of helplessness and grievance. The passengers, who had just been indignant, all widened their eyes to look at me, then glanced at Luna Tang. Her face instantly turned as red as a monkey's bottom. I sighed. "All right then, I see everyone is quite enthusiastic, and I'm not some unreasonable shrew. If any kind-hearted person is willing to offer their seat to this pregnant woman, I can transfer this 100 yuan to that person right away. After all, she is pregnant, and I believe everyone would be happy to help, right?" But as soon as I finished speaking, the passengers who had been so vocal just moments ago all fell silent. Yes. When it comes to their own interests, everyone tends to remain silent, not to mention something like this. A thankless, unprofitable deal. Only Theo Lin stood firmly by Luna Tang's side. "Mila Su, don't guilt-trip others. Clearly, this is your fault, so why are you making others bear the consequences?" I smiled at Theo Lin, thinking, so you do know this is emotional blackmail, so it's okay to emotionally blackmail me, but not Luna Tang. What a double standard. Soon, our argument caught the attention of the train attendant. She looked at me sternly. "The train is about to depart. Please return to your seats." Luna Tang suddenly clutched her stomach, her face contorted in pain. "Ouch, ouch. My stomach suddenly hurts so much." The train attendant looked at Luna Tang nervously. "What's wrong with you?" Luna Tang looked at the train attendant with a pitiful expression. "Hello. I'm pregnant, and I'm still in the critical period. I just stood for a long time." Her tone was breathless and panting incessantly, as if she were about to faint. "When buying the tickets, I specifically chose the upper and lower berths. My ticket was for the lower berth, while Theo Lin's was for the upper berth." The train attendant unhesitatingly placed Luna Tang on my berth. Luna Tang, however, seemed startled and nervously stood up again. "No, she won't let me sit here," although her face was full of grievance and fear. Her tone sounded more like she was complaining to the train attendant. Hearing Luna Tang's words, the train attendant indeed fell for it and directly used his hand to block Luna Tang's body as she pretended to stand up. Turning his head, he looked at me displeased. "Is this your seat?" I nodded calmly, after listening. The train attendant frowned even more deeply. "Madam, respecting the elderly and caring for the young is a traditional virtue of the Chinese nation. Giving up seats to the elderly, weak, women, and children is something we've been taught since childhood. How can you be so selfish? Since this Ms. Tang is pregnant, we should actively offer a helping hand instead of standing by indifferently. Look, she's so exhausted that her face has turned pale. Letting her sit on your berth for a while won't hurt. If everyone were like you, what warmth would there be in our society?" The people around also nodded in agreement with the train attendant. "This young lady is very fierce and absolutely refuses to give up her seat to the pregnant woman." "Exactly, we've talked until we're out of words, and she remains unmoved. Fortunately, you came, conductor, you should give a good verbal lesson to such an unethical person." Theo Lin also added fuel to the fire. "And they're supposed to be good friends, yet they wouldn't even give up a seat." The conductor looked at me even more shocked after hearing this. "If you know each other, then it's even more unacceptable. How can you be so heartless, turning a blind eye to your own friend who's pregnant? Is this how you treat a friend?" "This is the ticket I bought." Luna Tang looked at the train attendant with a wronged expression, hypocritically deflecting. "Comrade, I know you mean well, but if Mila won't give it to me, there's nothing I can do. I'll just go to the standing-only carriage." A single sentence instantly stirred the conductor's protective instinct, and he firmly restrained the overly dramatic Luna Tang. "All right, just lie down and rest. No one is going to make you leave." Luna Tang shot a triumphant glance at me and said, "Mila, I'll have to trouble you then." With that, she handed her standing ticket to me. The train attendant even gave me a couple of pats specifically. "Hurry back to your own carriage. We'll be departing soon." After saying that, he went to the next carriage. Theo Lin plopped down next to Luna Tang, patiently peeling an orange for her, and didn't forget to remind me, "Mila, if you need any help over there, you can always come back to us anytime." As soon as the words were spoken, the aunties around all chuckled and praised Theo Lin for being a good man. Only I stood by the window, tightly clutching the standing ticket in my hand. Luna Tang looked at me smugly. "If you had just given me the seat earlier, it would have saved me from standing for so long. My back is sore now." After saying that, she even shot a reproachful glance at Theo Lin. Theo Lin appeased Luna Tang with a flattering tone. "She's just crazy. Don't get angry. It's not good for the baby." As he spoke, he considerately helped Luna Tang massage her waist, eliciting a shy, coquettish sound from her. Anyone who didn't know better would think they were the married couple. Looking back now, my marriage with Theo Lin was nothing but a joke. Marry me for my money, but give your love to Luna Tang. What a great man indeed. I just watched their intimate interaction coldly and turned to leave the sleeper car. I borrowed a small megaphone in the dining car, pressed the button to start recording. Soon, the sound of a small speaker echoed throughout the entire train. "Attention, all passengers, attention, all passengers. A pregnant woman in the sleeper car of train K2808 is showing signs of a miscarriage. If there is a doctor on board, this passenger needs your assistance. Thank you." But it was stopped halfway by the train attendant, who looked at me with displeasure. "What are you doing?" I put on an anxious expression. "Hello, my friend just complained of a stomachache, and I'm worried something might happen to her baby. Please help me quickly." The train attendant recalled the scene of Luna Tang complaining of a stomachache earlier and, without a second thought, joined the search for a doctor. Through our joint efforts, we gathered 4 or 5 obstetricians in less than half an hour. By the time I returned to the carriage with the doctors, Luna Tang was leisurely lying on my berth, watching a show. Seeing me return, she frowned unhappily. "There's no room for you here. What are you doing back?" The next moment, I sadly hugged Luna Tang's arm. "Luna, don't worry, I've brought the doctor over. Your child will definitely be fine." Luna Tang was stunned by my sudden action. What are you talking about?" Theo Lin, who had just returned with water, saw me holding Luna Tang's arm and pushed me away. "What are you doing here again? Luna is just a pregnant woman. Can't you stop bullying her?" This time, everyone around, including the doctors following me, looked at Theo Lin with strange expressions. Some doctors even spoke up in my defense. This lady was worried about the pregnant woman having a miscarriage and specifically asked several of us doctors to come and help. No one intended to bully your wife. When he heard the word wife, Theo Lin glanced at me guiltily. Little did I know that I didn't even bother with him, but instead hurriedly asked the doctor to check on Luna Tang. Doctor, please check on my friend quickly, she was just complaining about a stomachache. The doctors didn't hesitate and were about to proceed, but before they could even touch Luna Tang, she dodged away. I'm perfectly fine, no need for a checkup. Without a second thought, I pulled Luna Tang out. You're about to be a mother, how can you avoid seeing a doctor when you're sick? Come on, be good. Let the doctor take a good look. Are you having a miscarriage? At this point, even the surrounding passengers urged Luna Tang, weren't you just complaining about a stomachache? See. Your friend does have a conscience. They specially found a doctor for you. Just think about it. What if something happens to the child? Unable to resist the enthusiasm of the crowd and the doctor, Luna Tang reluctantly allowed the doctor to examine her. 4 or 5 doctors took turns examining her, looking at Luna Tang and frowning from time to time, before finally turning to me. The baby in your friend's belly is very healthy, already 4 months along, and the pregnancy is very stable. Oh. So it's already 4 months. Before I could say anything, Luna Tang chimed in. That's good, that's good. I was worried that my earlier emotional outburst might have affected the baby. The doctor nodded again. As long as you don't run or jump, this baby is very stable. I took the opportunity to add, then, does standing more also benefit pregnant women? The doctor didn't quite understand my implication but still answered dutifully, a moderate amount of exercise can make childbirth easier. Hearing this, Luna Tang was about to retort, but I cut her off. Did you hear that? You've been hogging my sleeper for half an hour. Didn't you hear what the doctor said? Get back to your own carriage. The doctors were completely dumbfounded on the spot. Luna Tang hugged the quilt tightly and stubbornly lay on the berth, looking at Theo Lin with a wronged expression. Theo Lin, who had been silent just moments before, immediately began to defend her. The train attendant already said this berth is for Luna. Are you deaf or just forgetful? I calmly looked at Theo Lin. So even if she's in good health, you're still going to take my spot for her? Exactly. How can you be so heartless? I grinned. That was exactly the line I was waiting for. I immediately sat down on the floor, wiping away tears in sorrow. Everyone, please help me judge this fairly. How am I supposed to live like this? I have money, but is it my fault that I'm wealthy? Am I supposed to be your scapegoat? So, to punish me for having money, you dare to openly hug and cuddle with your mistress in front of me, your lawful wife. In one sentence, she successfully stirred up the carriage again. Theo Lin, don't you enjoy manipulating the masses? Then why not let them see the true nature of you two love-struck fools? After all, everyone just assumed Luna Tang was his wife. Little did they know, the real one is actually me. The onlookers instantly shifted their attention to Theo Lin. Even the train attendant standing behind the doctor was stunned. You're talking nonsense. Theo Lin glared at me furiously. I blinked my eyes. Aren't you my husband? Theo Lin had no way to deny this matter. I pointed at the two of them, who were stuck together. Then aren't you holding on to Luna Tang right now? So what nonsense did I say? Theo Lin instantly let go of Luna Tang's shoulder as if he had been electrocuted. Don't make things up here. I just showed a little extra concern for Luna because she's pregnant. Don't think of us in such a dirty way. If I hadn't already died once, I wouldn't have known that Luna Tang and Theo Lin were already sneaking around together so early on. Back when I married Theo Lin, we agreed to be dinks. Theo Lin did not object either. I thought he, like me, had given it careful consideration. But now, looking at Luna Tang's belly, I finally understood. The dirt poor Lin family really does have a throne to inherit. Faced with Theo Lin's explanation, I cried even harder. Even your sleeper ticket was bought by me. How can you be so righteous about spending my money to support a mistress? The passengers who had just been indignantly accusing me of having ill intentions instantly understood the whole story. Who wouldn't be angry if this happened to them? Directly pointing the finger at Luna Tang. You, as the other woman, actually have the nerve to ask the wife to buy you a train ticket, and even specify a sleeper berth. You really have no shame. Exactly, you should be keeping a low profile instead of so brazenly asking for money. And here I was feeling sorry for you earlier. Those who use pregnancy to get ahead are no good either. You're young but not learning to do the right thing. Instead, you're stealing someone else's husband. People like you will get what's coming to them. Luna Tang was bombarded with comments from the passengers and couldn't get a word in edgewise, so she could only hide fearfully behind Theo Lin. Theo Lin, seeing that the passengers outnumbered them, didn't dare to argue back, but instead set his sights on me. Mila Su, aren't you going to stop this? Just letting them make up stories here and ruin someone's reputation. Do you know that spreading rumors is illegal and can land you in jail? I cursed under my breath. What a coward. Only knows how to bully a weak woman like me. I must have been blind to have fallen for Theo Lin back then. I idly picked at my ear. Oh, spreading rumors is illegal. But did I actually spread any? Weren't you enjoying yourself just now when they were attacking me? What, this time it's Luna Tang. And you're feeling sorry for her. I'm truly moved to tears by your unbreakable bond. I glanced at the conductor in the corner and pointed at Luna Tang. This person is occupying my seat. Could you please do something about it? Theo Lin looked at me anxiously. Mila Su, don't go too far. How can you drive a pregnant woman away? Unfortunately, this time, the conductor didn't help them either. It looked like the conductor was about to drive away his beloved Luna Tang. I kindly gave Theo Lin a suggestion. Since you care so much about her, why not give your seat to Luna Tang? The passengers cooperatively exclaimed. Oh, with a tone full of sarcasm. Theo Lin had no choice but to explain. Luna is pregnant, and I, who will take care of her if I leave. Besides, I have the upper bunk. How could a pregnant woman lie there? I rolled my eyes speechlessly. You're quite something. So you like the married type. No wonder you look down on me. This remark immediately drew a round of laughter from everyone around. No one paid any further attention to the drama between Luna Tang and Theo Lin. Under Luna Tang's persistent pestering, Theo Lin had no choice but to reluctantly switch seats with her. Before leaving, she didn't forget to remind me to take extra care of Luna Tang. I simply pretended not to hear. Take care of her. Take care of the other woman. How shameless of you. A kind-hearted older woman came over and patted my shoulder. Girl, are you really keeping a man like this for the winter? I nodded in agreement. This marriage must end in divorce. Theo Lin looked at me angrily. Mila Su, I'm still here. I didn't even lift my eyelids. Oh, you haven't left yet. Sorry, I forgot. Come on, big sister, let's continue. Continuing to gossip about him right in front of Theo Lin didn't give Theo Lin any face at all. He left our carriage with a dark expression. I comfortably lay down on my own berth. This time, I finally don't have to sacrifice myself for that despicable couple. After being disliked by everyone, Luna Tang could only lie alone on Theo Lin's upper bunk, ignored by all. However, she still had the audacity to try to boss me around. Mila, I'm thirsty. Could you pour me a glass of water? Before I could even speak, an auntie stepped in to stop her. Do you not have hands or feet? Can't you get it yourself? I'm pregnant. How can you treat me like this? The middle-aged woman didn't back down either. It's because of scum like you that the divorce rate is rising. In ancient times, someone like you would have been drowned in a pig cage. You know, Luna Tang was left completely speechless. Everyone has experienced the feeling of being deceived, so naturally, they didn't treat her kindly. Luna Tang could only angrily call Theo Lin for help. Theo Lin, who had been standing for 4 to 5 hours, ran to the carriage looking haggard to pour water for Luna Tang, all the while complaining to me. Mila, you weren't like this before. Why are you so heartless now? Oh, so you never cheated before. What's going on now? My words drew scorn and sneers from the passengers around us. Theo Lin could only shut his mouth. Midway, Theo Lin couldn't stand it any longer and came over to ask if we could switch seats. Without even lifting my eyelids, I pointed upward. Theo Lin snorted coldly, then spoke gently to Luna Tang. Luna, how about letting me lie down for a while? Only to receive Luna Tang's gentle refusal. Theo, it's not that I don't want to switch with you, but look, I'm on the upper bunk and I'm pregnant. What if I get hurt while climbing up or down? This is the result of Theo Lin's efforts. It's really interesting. Along the way, chatting, laughing, eating, and drinking with the elderly folks around, we quickly bonded. If it weren't for Theo Lin and Luna Tang occasionally acting out, this journey would have been absolutely perfect. More than 40 hours passed by quickly. I gathered my things and got off the train, feeling refreshed and energetic. It wasn't long before I saw Theo Lin, legs trembling, helping Luna Tang down. Upon seeing me, he immediately started complaining. "Are you in such a hurry to be reborn? Go get a taxi already. I'm exhausted. By the way, you'd better book a private car. Luna is pregnant and can't ride in those cheap, smelly cars." Luna Tang was so touched that she threw herself into Theo Lin's arms and said thank you. Theo Lin usually acts like a big shot. He's already used to me taking care of him. No matter what we do, he always expects me to arrange everything without question. After all, I have both the ability and the money, so he only needs to close his eyes to enjoy all kinds of services. This time, I didn't argue with Theo Lin and obediently booked a private car. I put my luggage inside. Theo Lin, who was still in the distance, called out to me, "Mila, come quickly and load mine and Luna's luggage into the car." I just smiled and looked at them. They really are a perfect match. Without looking back, I got into the car and closed the door. The driver, following the hotel address I provided, stepped on the gas and drove off. Theo Lin was dumbfounded as he watched the car drive away. Limping after the car, I stumbled and fell flat on my face because my leg went numb. Faint curses came from behind. "Mila Sue, you bitch." I sat comfortably in the private car. Perhaps I had been too lenient with Theo Lin before, making him think he could humiliate me like this and I still wouldn't leave him. This marriage farce should come to an end. Some people should also learn their lesson the hard way. Theo Lin always says he is the only son in the family and has been away from his parents for many years. It's only during rare holidays that he can go back to see them. So every festival, I tirelessly accompany him home, in order to improve his parents' living conditions. I paid for the renovation of their rural house and bought a lot of furniture and appliances in the first year after our marriage. Even during every holiday when I returned home, I would bring back many expensive items. They would always show off these things to the neighbors around them. As soon as I arrived at the hotel, Theo Lin's phone rang. "Mila Sue, what kind of spoiled princess tantrum are you throwing again? We agreed to go home to see our parents for the new year, and now you just decide to leave. What do you mean by that? The elderly are even concerned about where you've gone. How can you be a daughter-in-law and still have the elders worrying about you? Are they really concerned about me? Clearly. They're just concerned about the gifts in my suitcase. After all, the filial piety of their son, Theo Lin, is something I've been paying to maintain. Without me, Theo Lin would be left with nothing." I lazily sat on the sofa. "Oh, didn't you bring Luna Tang? I was afraid I'd be interrupting your lovey-dovey moment if I tagged along." I let out a mocking laugh. "So I took the initiative and booked myself a hotel. Shouldn't you be praising me for that?" Theo Lin was so angry he could only lower his voice to lecture me. "Will you ever stop? I've already told you Luna is just my hometown friend. We were just coming back together since it was on the way. How long are you going to keep making a scene? How can you be so unreasonable? And to think Mom and Dad have been talking about you all this time. I'm giving you half an hour. If you still want to be a proper daughter-in-law of the Lin family, come back right now, just fellow townsfolk. I think you're just too scared. If it weren't for your family looking down on Luna Tang for being poor and having a younger brother, you probably would have won her over long ago." Back on the train, I already had my secretary look into Theo Lin's expenses over the years. Turns out, more than half of it was spent on Luna Tang. What a clever move to switch the dragon with the phoenix, selling oneself to support the white moonlight. With that, he hung up the phone. Even Luna Tang's prenatal checkup fees were paid from my account. I immediately called my lawyer. "Prepare a divorce agreement and debt documents for me." Just after finishing the call with the lawyer, I heard a knock on the guest room door. I never expected Theo Lin to bring his parents and all sorts of relatives to the hotel to find me. As soon as I opened the door, Mr. and Mrs. Lin warmly grabbed my hand. "Mila, why are you staying at a hotel?" Then they glanced around at the decor. "Staying here must cost a lot per day. How can you spend money so recklessly?" "Do I need the Lin family's approval to spend my own money?" After saying this, Mom Lynn warmly took both of my hands. I know you and Theo had a bit of a disagreement. I've already scolded him for you. What couple doesn't argue? It's always a fight at the head of the bed and peace at the foot. Then she looked at me with heartfelt sincerity. I didn't speak. Mila, you and Theo are not getting any younger. The problem in your relationship is that you don't have children. A woman isn't truly complete until she becomes a mother. Theo is the only heir of our Lynn family. We can't let the family line die out. You can't just focus on your career and neglect your family, right? I raised an eyebrow. So Theo Lynn had been blaming the lack of children entirely on me. With his parents backing him up, Theo Lynn remained silent the entire time. Since you want a child, isn't this perfect timing? I smiled and coaxed Theo Lynn's parents, saying, you're right. We really should have a child. Upon hearing this, Mr. and Mrs. Lynn were overjoyed and immediately asked me to pack my things and go back with them. I managed to send them away by using a small excuse and promising to visit them personally the next day. Before leaving, Dad Lynn couldn't help muttering under his breath about me. What a wasteful woman. I wasn't angry at all. After all, their family's days of leeching off me were coming to an end. Early the next morning, I went to the Lynn family's house with a lawyer and the documents. I refused. On the way, I also picked up Luna Tang. When she heard that I had brought her a holiday gift, she came along without a second thought. Seeing Luna Tang, Theo Lynn was momentarily stunned. Then without any hesitation, he jogged over to help her out of the car. This scene was witnessed by Mr. and Mrs. Lynn. Mrs. Lynn rushed between the two and swatted Theo Lynn's hand away. What are you doing? This kind of physical contact is improper. Luna Tang's face looked extremely unpleasant. It wasn't because Aunt Lynn particularly liked me, but rather because the villagers were afraid of being entangled with the Tang family. The Tang family was quite notorious in the village. A father who drinks heavily, a paralyzed mother, and a gambling-addicted younger brother. Whoever ends up with Luna Tang will have to carry the burden of the Tang family for the rest of their life. Men always want to be heroes. Unfortunately, Theo Lynn has the heart to cherish and protect the fairer sex, but lacks the ability to offer substantial help. I smiled and pulled Luna Tang to my side. We're all family. What's the point of this? Lynn's mother gave me an annoyed look and snorted coldly. Only a family with 8 generations of bad luck would be related to her. I smiled at Theo Lynn and comforted Lynn's mother. Why curse yourself? Theo Lynn will marry Luna Tang soon. You two are relatives destined by fate from a past life. The voices of Lynn's mother and Theo Lynn sounded simultaneously. Only one is shocked, the other is angry. Mother Lynn stared at me wide-eyed. Mila, what are you talking about? I looked at her calmly. Haven't you always wanted a grandson? I pointed my chin at Luna Tang. She's carrying your golden grandchild. This is a huge celebration. I specifically asked the doctor, and it's a boy. I came today especially to congratulate the Lynn family on having an heir. Mrs. Lynn glared at Luna Tang with a venomous look. What did you say? What nonsense are you talking? Luna Tang trembled with fear. Theo Lynn swiftly stepped in front of Luna Tang, carefully shielding her behind him, and looked at me with displeasure. Mila Sue, have you had enough of this nonsense? You're just a hen that doesn't lay eggs. Do you want me to have no descendants? What's wrong with me having a child with Luna? It doesn't affect you in any way. Are you only satisfied when you've turned my home upside down? Theo Lynn really didn't disappoint me, admitting it so frankly. That also saved me from having to present the other evidence I had prepared. I just let out a faint. Oh, however, Mama Lynn beside me seemed to have lost all her strength and collapsed to the ground. The lawyer, quick to read the situation, handed the documents to me. I took the document and threw it directly at Theo Lynn. Sign it, and you can be with your true love forever. Seeing that it was a document confirming he would leave with nothing and acknowledge the debt, Theo Lynn threw it to the ground without a second thought. I'm not leaving with nothing. You must be dreaming. Even if we get divorced, you have to give me half of the assets as compensation for my emotional distress. It's really a case of wanting to have your cake and eat it too. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. You eat my food, drink my drinks, and still want my money. Too bad. How could I not be prepared? I clapped my hands a few times, and a construction team came in and stood behind me. Tear these houses down for me. Theo Lin didn't hesitate to stand in front of the house. "What are you trying to do? This is illegal. Stop it right now." I glanced at the lawyer, who immediately handed over a business card. "According to the law, Miss Sue is not breaking any regulations by demolishing a house she built herself." The Lin family was dumbfounded. Even Mr. and Mrs. Lin kept pleading with me. "Mila, let's talk this out calmly, please." I simply ignored them. Mrs. Lin was so furious that she rushed straight to Luna Tang, sat on her, and slapped her repeatedly. Luna Tang could only keep begging Theo Lin for help. "Theo, save me." I just stood quietly in place, watching their farce. Theo Lin was caught in a dilemma. Torn between his pregnant first love and the family home, after struggling for a long time, he finally rushed to Luna Tang. Pushing Lin's mother aside, he held Luna Tang in his arms with heartache and yelled at the workers who were dismantling the house, "Stop, stop, I'll sign." Then he glared at me fiercely. "Mila Sue, you are so vicious. You will face retribution." Retribution. Holding the signed documents, glancing at the miserable couple on the ground, I smiled faintly. "Even if there is retribution, it should be yours." Before leaving, I kindly reminded Theo Lin, "By the way, when I arrived earlier, I had my people inform Luna Tang's alcoholic father that you got his daughter pregnant. I think he's on his way here right now." With that, I left with a smile. I heard that the Tang family had been racking their brains all these years to find a suitable match for Luna Tang, but as soon as people heard about their family situation, they were scared off. Now, with Theo Lin as the fallback option, the Tang family wasted no time seizing the opportunity. No sooner had I stepped out of the yard than Mr. Tang arrived at the Lin family's house. As soon as he entered, he punched Theo Lin hard, making him spit blood. He then scolded Luna Tang, saying, "Shameless good-for-nothing, you've completely disgraced me. I was counting on you to fetch a bride price, but you ended up getting knocked up." Seemingly still furious, he kicked Luna Tang twice. After saying that, he looked at Theo Lin. "You bastard, you got my daughter pregnant, and you must compensate me for my losses. I'm telling you, whether you want to or not, you have to marry her now. The bride price must be 88,000, or I'll go to the police and report you for rape." Theo Lin, his face flushed, looked at Tang's father. "Are you marrying off your daughter or selling her?" Dad Tang looked at Theo Lin without blushing or his heart racing. "You've already slept with the person. You're in no position to bargain with me. If you don't have the money, just wait to go to jail." Mom Lin and Dad Lin, who had just caught their breath, almost fainted again. Indeed, it takes a scoundrel to deal with a scoundrel. I didn't continue listening to their foul language and left the already impoverished small village directly. Apart from the money Theo Lin owes me, which I have my assistant collect periodically, there is no further connection between us. Later, I heard from the assistant who went to collect the debt. The Tang family shamelessly moved into the Lin family's courtyard, and it's been chaotic there every day. Theo Lin not only had to take care of Luna Tang during her pregnancy but also had to attend to Luna Tang's paralyzed elderly mother. Luna Tang's brother would come asking for money every few days. In the end, Theo Lin vented all his anger directly on Luna Tang and even beat her so severely that she had a miscarriage. Luna Tang also dropped all pretense, shamelessly demanding compensation from Theo Lin, causing another round of commotion. 2 people got into a fight and both ended up in the hospital. One ended up with a broken leg, the other with a broken arm. Even their injuries were perfectly coordinated. I smiled, thinking this must be what they call true love. I signed a document and handed it to the secretary. The afterglow of the sunset spills into the office. "Stay away from the wrong people, and life will be better." After being reborn, I deliberately arrived late to delay getting the marriage certificate with Jiu Wenlin. In my past life, after Jiu Wenlin found out I was pregnant, he disappeared for 20 years with Bai Xiaomai. He looked at Bai Xiaomai's memorial photo and said to me, "If we had waited just a little longer to get our marriage certificate, would the outcome have been different?" When Jiu Wenlin realized he had been reborn, he was standing at the dormitory entrance, waiting for me to go get our marriage certificate together. After parting ways with Jiu Wenlin, I went up the mountain. Aunt Wang comforted me, saying, That was just a dream. What matters is the life you're living now. After you marry Engineer GU, you'll have a good life ahead of you. But, what is there to fear from nightmares? Marry GU Wenlin, not in this lifetime, in my previous life. GU Wenlin and I had just walked out of the marriage registration office after getting our marriage certificate. The girl was named by Xiaomai and lived in the village where we worked. The end. On our way back together, GU Wenlin remained silent the entire time. That's all for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more exciting. It turned out that after that collision, GU Wenlin fell in love with Bai Xiaomai at first sight. After that day, GU Wenlin became much colder toward me. Later, when I was on the verge of death, he returned. GU Wenlin and I were assigned to different project teams. I mentioned it to GU Wenlin, and he just said indifferently, "Follow the organization's arrangements." I lied, saying I needed to deliver something to a colleague, and sent GU ahead to wait for me at the marriage registration office. Every time after that, it was the result of GU Wenlin taking the initiative to apply to the higher-ups, lying on Aunt Wang's rocking chair. I watched the sea of clouds in front of the house and basked in the sunlight. Aunt Wang handed me a roasted sweet potato and asked curiously, "Aren't you supposed to get your marriage certificate with Engineer GU today? What brings you here?" I took a bite of the warm, roasted sweet potato. With a smile, I told her, "Auntie, I had a nightmare, and after waking up, I just couldn't feel at ease. I had a big argument with GU Wenlin. At daybreak, GU Wenlin left. I froze for a moment, then nodded with a smile. You're right, Auntie. I'll just stay here for a while and then leave." After learning of my pregnancy, GU Wenlin's previous coldness suddenly changed. Suddenly one day, GU Wenlin disappeared. He bumped straight into a girl. It was only then that I realized he had been with Bai Xiaomai all these 20 years. It's just that Bai Xiaomai, burdened with sorrow, passed away before him. I thought it was because he was now a married man and had become conscious of avoiding any impropriety with female comrades. Little did I know, it wasn't until I was on the verge of death that I found out the truth. GU Wenlin said he was sorry for me, and yet he resented me. He wasn't avoiding suspicion. He was filled with regret over why he couldn't have married me just one day later. He could have just divorced me and given Bai Xiaomai a home, always staring blankly in the direction of the village alone. When I asked him why, he avoided answering. After asking many times and being busy with work, I stopped asking. I just wait for him to figure it out and be willing to talk to me on his own. After the village project ended, instead, he abandoned his wife and child. Neglecting his parents as well, we had to live apart in separate locations. I thought it was only temporary, but in every subsequent assignment, he was sent to places far away from me. The son I raised with my own hands said he envies the adopted child of GU Wenlin and Bai Xiaomai, who grew up showered with love, until one day, when I returned to the capital for a debriefing. It was only after overhearing my colleague's conversation that I realized, apart from the first separate assignment. When I arrived at the marriage registration office, I happened to see GU Wenlin helping Bai Xiaomai up. I saw GU Wenlin staring at Bai Xiaomai, unable to tear his eyes away for a long time. Afterwards, he hugged me and apologized, but never explained the reason. In my previous life, I was busy helping Bai Xiaomai up and chatting with her. I think my marriage with him has come to an end. Life is full of surprises. I found out I was pregnant. I didn't notice GU Wenlin's unusual behavior. He started taking care of me with great attentiveness. He would clumsily learn to cook for me. He would press his ear against my belly to listen to the baby blowing bubbles. He would take a walk with me every night. "Wenlin, I'm here. Have you been waiting long?" I asked many people and searched for him for a long time. No one knew where he had actually gone, nor could anyone tell me whether he was dead or alive. I began going to prenatal checkups alone, giving birth alone, taking the child to the hospital alone, and raising the child alone. He arranged the funerals for both sets of parents alone. I thought he was dead, but when I was on the verge of death, he suddenly appeared before me. Seeing me appear, GU Wenlin stiffened and quickly became flustered. They adopted a son and gave him all their love. "Ah, well, man, you're here. Her regret before passing was not being able to become his wife in this lifetime. I noticed that when Bai Xiaomai looked at me, unlike in the previous life, her expression was complicated, with a hint of jealousy and resentment in her eyes. I think it's so unreasonable. If you don't love me, why didn't you tell me earlier? Jiyu Wenlin encountered Bai Xiaomai ahead of time. He chose to break up with me and be with Bai Xiaomai. What right does he have to resent me? Or, as in the previous life, he would marry me but still live a double life with Bai Xiaomai. He blames me for bringing him into this world without his permission. Only then did I realize that, unbeknownst to me, he had already been in contact with his father, yet kept it hidden from me all along. I stayed at Aunt Wang's house for an hour. After saying goodbye to Aunt Wang, I headed straight to the marriage registration office. Jiyu Wenlin's face turned pale. Ouch. My foot hurts. Bai Xiaomai's timely cry of pain broke the brief silence. The originally somewhat angry face now wore a look of astonishment. In her previous life, Bai Xiaomai was not injured. I looked at Bai Xiaomai with scrutiny. Now, looking at it from a bystander's perspective, everything was so obvious. Jiyu Wenlin took Bai Xiaomai to the clinic. Bai Xiaomai blushed with embarrassment. Jiyu Wenlin, however, seemed quite pleased. Jiyu Wenlin looked conflicted and said, Man, they've already left work. Should we come back tomorrow? By the time I looked over again, she had already returned to normal, as if it had all been my imagination. I was curious. This time, the marriage certificate hadn't even been issued yet. Jiyu Wenlin sighed and replied, All right, I'll talk to Aunt Wang when we get back. How will he choose? Jiyu Wenlin and I came here by bicycle. On the way back, Bai Xiaomai didn't hesitate to get on Jiyu Wenlin's bike. It's getting late. Let's go in and get our marriage certificate. I pretended to be in a hurry. Jiyu Wenlin looked at me, a bit awkward, but didn't refuse. The cool breeze blew, carrying the sound of Bai Xiaomai and Jiyu Wenlin's conversation. There was also Jiyu Wenlin's deliberately restrained smile. Why is she injured in this lifetime, and at such a coincidental moment too? Could she have been reborn as well? How long has it been since I last saw Jiyu Wenlin smile? Yet, I found nothing unusual. In my past life, it seemed that after meeting Bai Xiaomai, Jiyu Wenlin never smiled in my presence again. The doctor said there was nothing else except for the wound that would have healed on its own a little later. Entering the village, the villagers saw Bai Xiaomai sitting in Jiyu Wenlin's car. An arm was wrapped around Jiyu Wenlin's waist. On the way back, they passed by the marriage registration office, in preparation for marriage. Jiyu Wenlin had already rented a wedding apartment in advance. I replied calmly, We'll see. Getting married requires picking an auspicious day too, except, in this lifetime, there will never be a truly auspicious day for marriage. A faint smile touched my lips. Before Jiyu Wenlin returned, I pushed my bicycle back to the dormitory. In my previous life, I gave up this opportunity because I was going to marry Jiyu Wenlin. After that, Jiyu Wenlin deliberately kept me at a distance. Later, when I became pregnant, Jiyu Wenlin disappeared. I pretended not to see and rode my bike away first. He said, Other people's mothers are so beautiful. Why can't you be like others? And dress yourself up nicely. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but the happiness in their tone was unmistakable. Yourself? By what? By Xiaomai. At dinner, Jiyu Wenlin didn't come to find me as he usually did, but now, none of this matters to me anymore. In the cafeteria, I saw Jiyu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomai sitting face to face. I don't know what Jiyu Wenlin said, but Bai Xiaomai covered her mouth and laughed. When they looked at me, they either winked, coughed, or shook their heads. I knew what they meant, but I still smiled and returned to the dorm. When he saw me, Jiyu Wenlin was taken aback for a moment and quickly stood up. Most of the belongings have been moved over. I passed by the wedding house, stopped the car, and lingered for a while. The wedding house has 2 bedrooms on either side, with a main hall in the middle and a small courtyard. In my previous life, when I returned from the marriage registration office and saw the big red double happiness characters pasted at home, my heart was filled with sweetness. No one knew that the day before registering their marriage, the groom was happily busy decorating their wedding home. Yet, on their wedding night, the flame went out. That night, like countless lonely nights to come, we lay quietly in bed. doing nothing. Yet neither of us could fall asleep. Man, you're here. Well, Xiaomai just got home. And there's no food at her place, so I brought her here to grab a bite. I was actually planning. As soon as I reached the dormitory, I took out the transfer letter to Beijing from the drawer. Though it was called a transfer, what awaited me back in Beijing was actually a promotion and a raise, to bring you something later. But I didn't expect you to come so early. 3 months later, we were assigned to different locations, after we got our marriage certificate. Jiyu Wenlin said he would go to the cafeteria to get some food, so, at this time in my previous life, Jiyu Wenlin had already started taking care of by Xiaomai. I had to not only raise the child alone but also take care of both sets of parents, feeling overwhelmed at work. I was gradually transferred from a key department to a peripheral one, never got a promotion or a raise in my entire career. My elementary school son often looks at me with disdain when he sees my mediocre and busy appearance. It was Jiyu Wenlin and by Xiaomai. Jiyu Wenlin looked at me with a complicated expression and cleared his throat softly. Man, I want to discuss something with you. The more I recall, the more alarmed I become. So back then, my son had already been in contact with his missing father. Yet he kept it from me his entire life. Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. Jiyu Wenlin glanced at Bai Xiaomai, who was standing beside him, looking cautious. I took my lunchbox and went to the cafeteria alone to get food. Man, well, Xiaomai just came back from the city. You know, she's the only one in her family, and the house hasn't been lived in for a long time. They served each other dishes, so it needs cleaning. Since we haven't gotten our marriage certificate yet, I was thinking, maybe we could lend our wedding room to Xiaomai for a few days. I glanced at Bai Xiaomai, like a startled rabbit, shrank back and hid behind Jiyu Wenlin. Is it early? There aren't many people left in the cafeteria. There are even fewer dishes left. I couldn't help but think of my past life. In both past and present lives, I see two completely different Bai Xiaomais. But I waited until very late before he came back. When he returned, his hands were empty. He just casually said to me, "The cafeteria ran out of food. Endure it for one night." That night, if there was any sound, it must have been the growling of my hungry stomach. If someone told me Bai Xiaomai hadn't been reborn, I wouldn't believe it. I didn't say anything and walked past him. I packed up the remaining food and took it back to the dorm. Just as I was halfway through the meal, there was a knock on the dorm door. I don't want this man anymore. No matter how much Bai Xiaomai does, it's all unnecessary in my eyes. Jiyu Wenlin didn't expect me to agree so readily. Jiyu Wenlin was taken aback and quickly said, No need, I'll move your things to another room." I remained silent, watching him. So he not only wanted Bai Xiaomai to move into our marital home, his eyes were filled with tenderness, and when he spoke again, his tone carried more determination. I saw Bai Xiaomai also smiling with the corner of her mouth curled up. When I arrived, Jiyu Wenlin was busy helping Bai Xiaomai make the bed. Jiyu Wenlin looked a bit surprised to see me. Man, what brings you here? I've already put your things in my room." Jiyu Wenlin caught up, his expression complex, with an emotion in his eyes I couldn't understand. Man, at that moment, Bai Xiaomai ran out of the room, but I don't have time to play along with her. "Brother Wenlin, that bedsheet is for you and Sister Man's wedding. Right, would it be inappropriate to let me sleep on it? I don't mind." "Fine. It's your house. You call the shots." "Yes, it's okay to sleep on dirty clothes." Bai Xiaomai's voice grew softer and softer. The words he had prepared got stuck in his throat. "Neither coming up nor going down. But, I don't like others touching my things. I'll go collect my belongings later." I saw Jiyu Wenlin looking at her with pity in his eyes. He turned to me. Man, look. The bedsheets at home are all new. This bedsheet. Still want her to sleep in our wedding bed. How ridiculous. How could I miss the fleeting look of triumph in Bai Xiaomai's eyes? After dinner, I took a flashlight to the wedding room to pack up my things. She just doesn't know yet that from the moment I was reborn, I had no intention of keeping a scumbag like Jiyu Wenlin. They were even using the new bedsheets I had carefully chosen for the wedding night. "Thank you, Sister Man, and Brother Wenlin. You're both so good to me. Wow. I never thought I'd get to live in Brother Wenlin's wedding house and sleep in his wedding bed." Okay, I responded and turned to go to the next room to get something. Something about the way she said it felt off. And Jiu Wenlin sensed it too. After speaking, Bai Xiaomai seemed to realize something and covered her mouth, pretending as if she had done something wrong. Sorry, Sister Man, I'm really sorry. Actually, please don't misunderstand, there's really nothing between Brother Wenlin and me. I think I'd better just sleep in my dirty clothes. As she said this, she moved to grab the dirty clothes from her bag. Jiu Wenlin quickly stopped her. I comforted Bai Xiaomai. It's nothing, just rest easy. It's not a big deal for me. Jiu Wenlin didn't notice anything from my expression and stood aside, lost in thought. Bai Xiaomai deliberately tried to cover up but only made it more obvious. She was simply trying to provoke me. Hoping to highlight her vulnerability and pitifulness in front of Jiu Wenlin, I said indifferently, this bedsheet was bought with your money, so it's up to you. Make Jiu Wenlin despise me. I leaned close to Bai Xiaomai and whispered in her ear, little sister Xiaomai. You're overthinking it. Why would I mind? Your brother Wenlin is doing it for your own good. What's so hard to understand? I wouldn't even mind if he married you. I just don't know if he would. But he looked at me without speaking, as if testing my limits. I looked at Bai Xiaomai and winked at her with a smile. Bai Xiaomai's expression turned very unpleasant upon hearing this. She couldn't understand why I was so different from the foolish and easily bullied man of her past life. Jiu Wenlin suddenly called out to me from behind, it's a joke. Bai Xiaomai has been reborn. She treats Jiu Wenlin's trash as her own property, and I don't want to get myself into trouble. I was busy packing and didn't have time to deal with him. Jiu Wenlin noticed me avoiding him, and his eyes were full of hurt when he looked at me. Man, are you angry? I can explain it to you. Besides, Bai Xiaomai wouldn't agree either, but having lived a second life, why would I care? The only thing she should be grateful for is that in my previous life, she didn't dance in front of me. I haven't danced enough in this lifetime. Hearing Bai Xiaomai's scream, Jiu Wenlin no longer cared about seeing me off and immediately turned around to run back into the house. In my previous life, I was married to Jiu Wenlin for 21 years, and my life ended at the age of 45. I also had to take care of Jiu Wenlin's unreasonable and demanding parents. On top of that, I had to work while running around everywhere searching for Jiu Wenlin. Since Jiu Wenlin disappeared, I haven't had a good night's sleep, but soon she realized something, and when she looked at me again, her face was full of smugness. I packed up my belongings, shouldering my bundle. I prepared to leave. Now that I've been given a second chance at life, I didn't marry Jiu Wenlin. He stepped forward, trying to take the bundle from my back. I refused. Through the fence, I saw Jiu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomai squatting in the yard brushing their teeth together. In her past life, she spent her entire life as the other woman. This time, I'm here to claim my rightful place. Jiu Wenlin skillfully and naturally took the towel from the clothesline and personally helped Bai Xiaomai wipe her hands. Bai Xiaomai looked at him with a deeply affectionate expression. Jiu Wenlin's face turned pale, and he quickly distanced himself from Bai Xiaomai. How strange. In my past life, he'd rather waste my entire lifetime than open his mouth. Now in this life, he's finally speaking up. But I already know what he's going to say. It's nothing more than doing emotionally detached things under the guise of caring. Explanation. Completely unnecessary. I asked around and found the state-run restaurant that Jiu Wenlin and I had visited in my previous life. Ah, just as I thought, Jiu Wenlin is good-looking with fair skin. Just the clean-cut type I like. I sneered, adjusted the pack on my back, and walked away. Jiu Wenlin proposed to me after we had been together for 2 months. That age counts as dying young. When I gave birth to that ungrateful wretch, I suffered a difficult labor with massive bleeding. My health foundation was ruined during that time. Later, before my body had fully recovered, I had to take care of my son alone. The appearance of Bai Xiaomai made him feel a flutter in his heart. Therefore, I spotted Jiu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomai sitting in the corner at first glance. My health has been deteriorating day by day. Raising my son until he was 20 years old was already the result of my utmost efforts. Bai Xiaomai was the first to see me. Sister Man, are you going to eat? It's perfect timing. Brother Wenlin and I are going together. Why don't you join us? Don't be shy, it's just an extra pair of chopsticks. Not having exhausted life through overwork, the body is healthy. I can finally sleep soundly and have a good night's rest, a night without dreams, the first good sleep in 2 lifetimes. The next day, I requested leave from my supervisor and informed them about my agreement to transfer back to Beijing. My supervisor was puzzled. Didn't you say you didn't want to be separated from engineer Gu after marrying him? I shook my head. I won't be marrying him. For me, my career is the most important thing right now. My supervisor looked at me and smiled with satisfaction. In my past life, my boss had also advised me. He said, with your abilities, you could achieve much greater things. But I was blinded by love. Giving up such a great opportunity for a worthless man. I asked my boss to keep my departure a secret. I've already discussed and agreed upon the departure time with the leader. After leaving the leader's office, I headed straight to the train station. Train tickets are hard to come by during this period, requiring long hours of queuing. As I rode past the marital home, "The matter? I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not interrupting your date." I smiled and glanced at Jiu Wenlin. Jiu Wenlin was clearly panicked. It seemed that after one night, there had been a qualitative leap in their relationship. Seeing me ride my bike past the gate, "Ah, Sister Man, don't misunderstand. The relationship between Brother Wenlin and me isn't what you think. Brother Wenlin just thinks." I averted my gaze, paying no mind to one acting guilty and the other with hurt in their eyes. Following my memory, I arrived at the train station. After paying to park my bicycle, I followed the crowd into the ticket hall. During this time, everyone traveling long distances was carrying large and small bundles, from tiny needles and thread to large quilts and baskets. People brought everything they could onto the train. Watching the crowded sea of people, I ultimately decided to take as little as possible, especially for large items that take up space, sell what can be sold, and give away what can't be given away. After waiting in line for a long time, between a standing ticket and a sleeper ticket, I still chose the sleeper ticket. I suffered all my life in my previous life, and in this life, I just want to be good to myself. By the time I left the train station, it was already afternoon. After a lifetime apart, with no experience, I forgot to bring food while standing in line. I missed lunch in order to buy a train ticket, and by now, I was so hungry I could feel my ribs against my back. "I'm too thin and wants to help me build up my health." Back then, introduced by a colleague, we had arranged to meet there for a blind date. I ignored Jiu Wenlin's actions and walked over to sit beside by Xiaomai. Plus, like me, he works in a technical field, and both our families are based in Beijing. At the time, I thought it would be convenient for our families to visit each other in the future. He was quite satisfied with my appearance. We decided to give it a try. During our relationship, he wasn't particularly good to me, but he wasn't bad either. In daily life, he took care of me in every way. At work, when encountering some difficult problems, he would solve them together with me. There wasn't much of that love at first sight spark between him and me. It was more about compatibility. I thought I would spend a peaceful and quiet lifetime with him. I never expected him to suddenly drop a bombshell on me. Jiu Wenlin rubbed his nose awkwardly and sat back down. At that time, it was clear he was happy when he decided to enter into marriage with me. But in the end, childhood sweethearts can't compete with a sudden new love. Wow. This meal must have cost Jiu Wenlin at least half a month's salary. His emotions wandered astray. Love knows not its own depth until the hour of separation. Yet he should never, ever have done so. One should not selfishly abandon everything for the sake of love, wasting my entire life. After parking my bicycle, I entered the state-run restaurant. There weren't many people at this hour. He's really generous to Bai Xiaomai. Bai Xiaomai picked up a piece of braised pork for me. She stood up and waved at me enthusiastically. Man, try the braised pork here. Brother Wenlin said it's the best, so he insisted on ordering it for me. He also said he'd pack an extra portion for me to take home. Truly a top-tier green tea who managed to steal someone else's husband for over 20 years. With just 2 sentences, she positioned herself as the main focus. "Here, try this, and the fish. You should try the fish too. I've never had fish this delicious before." Brother Wenlin said he knows how to cook it too, and once we're back, he'll make it for me often. He hurriedly stood up to pull out a chair for me. Gu Wenlin can cook. I was savoring it carefully, completely oblivious to what Bai Xiaomai was saying. Well, there she goes showing off again. Ah. Bai Xiaomai suddenly let out a sharp scream, startling me so much that I nearly dropped my chopsticks. Sorry, Sister Man, I just got scared by a fish bone, seeing the table full of lavish dishes. I was completely stunned. Where was I? Oh right, Sister Man, have you ever tasted Brother Wenlin's cooking? If you haven't, you can come to my place tonight. Brother Wenlin has promised to cook for me. Brother Wenlin, isn't that right? Bai Xiaomai clearly couldn't stand my indifferent attitude and felt the need to intervene. Little Mai, you're so lucky. I've known your brother Wenlin for so long, and I never knew he could cook. You two just met 2 days ago, and he's already agreed to cook for you. Thanks to you, I'll get to enjoy a delicious meal tonight. Bai Xiaomai was stunned. Gu Wenlin's face turned pale and then flushed during this process. When my scallion and tofu dish was served, I pushed it in front of Bai Xiaomai and Gu Wenlin, inviting them to eat together. In my past life, when I was pregnant, he was all thumbs in the kitchen, either dropping pots or breaking bowls. In the end, I had to push him out of the kitchen and cook myself. So love can be faked after all. I took the braised pork and savored it carefully. It was indeed delicious. Things from this era are all genuine. This pork is truly delicious. And this river fish, not a hint of that later engine oil taste, it's genuinely fresh and tender. After leaving the state-run restaurant, I said goodbye to Bai Xiaomai and Gu Wenlin and rode away on my bike. In my previous life, after Gu Wenlin disappeared, I was left alone to raise our child, take care of Gu Wenlin's parents, and work at the same time. They thought Gu Wenlin had mistreated me. They were so angry that they wanted to come and confront Gu Wenlin. They found Gu Wenlin sitting at my desk, flipping through study materials in his hand. Scared by a fish bone, that really scared me. The relationship with Gu Wenlin is unclear now, and I don't want any more accidents before I leave. Deliberately scared by a fishbone to remind me. Show off, keep showing off, wait till I'm gone, see who you'll show off to then. Gu Wenlin saw that I had returned and quickly stood up to pour me some water. Turning to face me, he said, Man, it's not what you think between Xiaomai and me. Originally, they wanted to drive me crazy with jealousy. Unexpectedly, I couldn't care less. Gu Wenlin was left speechless. If I was still the Hu man from my past life, whether he explained or not, I would believe him. I continued eating, completely indifferent to their reactions. But after all, I have lived a lifetime, seen and experienced my own tragic life. The dining table became much quieter afterward. I could finally eat in peace, even if Gu Wenlin explains 1,000 or 10,000 times. To me, it's all bullshit. I needed to go to the post office to call my parents. He fell in love with Bai Xiaomai at first sight. It was true love. Every day was a whirlwind of endless tasks. For some reason, even though my family background is no worse than theirs, Gu's parents just look down on me. Not only do they refuse to help take care of my child, but they also find ways to make life difficult for me. If I show even the slightest bit of dissatisfaction towards them, they come to my workplace and make a scene. At that time, having a stable job wasn't easy, especially since I still had to support my son, so I endured it. When my parents heard about my situation, while taking care of their grandchildren, they didn't hesitate to support me. They thought about finding someone else to marry me off to, but when Mr. and Mrs. Gu found out, they rushed to my parents and caused a scene. They say our family is trying to drive the two elderly to their deaths. Not only that, but every time a man is willing to meet me for a potential match, Mother Gu would bring my son along to follow behind, then she would make my son run up to me crying and making a scene. Gradually, no one was willing to arrange blind dates for me anymore, so I gave up the idea of remarrying and devoted myself wholeheartedly to raising my son. During this time, because of Gu's parents, my own parents endured a lot of humiliation, but what worried them more was me. Until the moment they passed away, what they couldn't let go of the most was still me. The call connected quickly. After what felt like a lifetime, hearing my parents' voices again made me cry. They noticed the sob in my voice. My parents were extremely worried. I feel more like the third party in his relationship with Bai Xiaomai, mainland, whether you believe it or not. I just think that since Bai Xiaomei's parents have passed away, she's all alone and has a hard time. So I calmed them down and told them everything that had happened recently, including my decision. There was a long silence on the phone from my parents. In the end, they simply said that if it was the result of my careful consideration, they would respect my decision. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. I told them about my decision to transfer back to Beijing. The train ticket for departure was in 3 days. Mom and Dad said they'll definitely prepare lots and lots of my favorite dishes and wait for me at home. Back at the dorm, I opened the door, want to take a little more care of her. I almost forgot. He also has a key to my dorm room. Seeing the drawer containing the transfer report locked, I breathed a sigh of relief. When Jiyu Wenlin explained it to me, his eyes were evasive. Okay, I believe you. Can you leave now? I'm tired after a long day and want to rest. Oh, by the way, please leave my dormitory key. He had something to say but kept hesitating, unable to speak up. I sat on the bed, sipping my tea slowly, waiting for him to speak. Finally, he couldn't hold back anymore. Leave the key. I swallowed the tea in my mouth and said calmly, what do I think? Jiyu Wenlin's face instantly stiffened. After Jiyu Wenlin left, I wiped the chair he had been sitting on. What really needs to be settled are the wedding items bought together with Jiyu Wenlin. It seems that before leaving, I need to find some time to settle accounts with Jiyu Wenlin. He said it to me by my deathbed in my past life. It's Jiyu Wenlin, not something my relationship with him could compare to. Here, man. Open it and take a look. It's a flaw, a thorn in the flesh, Jiyu Wenlin said with a smile. I've been fine for a long time. After we get married, I'll let you manage all my money. You just give me a living allowance every month. Just the living expenses will do. Looking at Jiyu Wenlin before me, I suddenly felt a sense of unfamiliarity. He couldn't even look me in the eye. How could I believe him? But I still said it. During the 20 years of Jiyu Wenlin's disappearance, he secretly kept in touch with his son. Thinking of my past life, Jiyu Wenlin might have known I needed money for my illness. Jiyu Wenlin saw me suddenly trembling all over. Clearly, he could tell I didn't believe him. When I looked at Jiyu Wenlin again, there was only coldness in my eyes. Dirty. Truly dirty. I started packing my things. In the 6 months I've worked here, I didn't have many belongings. It's all just clothes, bedding, and daily necessities. Jiyu Wenlin's heart skipped a beat. Since Jiyu Wenlin brought the money, at that moment, a knock sounded at the door, handed the remaining money and the box to Jiyu Wenlin. He's holding a box of pastries in his hand, happily handing it to me. Jiyu Wenlin saw my actions and was puzzled, but didn't ask anything. I took the pastry box and opened it. Inside were money and vouchers. Gu's parents told Jiyu Wenlin about my difficult childbirth and massive bleeding. Jiyu Wenlin just gave a faint hum over the phone. I also found out that when my son was still an infant, Gu's parents, without my knowledge, secretly took him to see Jiyu Wenlin. In my past life, forget about handing over his salary. After getting married, I never saw a single penny from him. When I had severe bleeding during childbirth, his parents didn't contribute a cent and even shouted, "Let her die. It's a waste of money to keep her alive." It was my parents and my brother and sister-in-law who paid the doctors to save me, and that's how I survived. Later, all the expenses for his parents' medical treatment and funeral were paid by me. Jiyu Wenlin knew I had been looking for him, yet he conspired with everyone to keep it from me. Presumably, he also maintained contact with his parents. I don't know if he gave them any money. All I know is that before Mrs. Jiyu passed away, she called my son in. When my son came out again, though he tried hard to appear sorrowful, I could still see a glint of secret delight in his eyes. After the funeral, I searched her room but found nothing of value. Later, I fell ill, but with no money for treatment, I could only endure it. This endurance dragged on until the final rally before death. They praised the love between Jiyu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomai, thinking that my son might be hiding the money his grandmother gave him, yet unwilling to use it for my treatment. I only felt a dull ache in my heart. I made plans with Bai Xiaomai to go eat the food Jiyu Wenlin cooked. Rushing forward to help me up, I pushed him away with one hand. leaning against the wall. It took me a while to recover. Then, in the evening, Bai Xiaomai came over, through the fence of the courtyard. I saw Bai Xiaomai and Jiyu Wenlin embracing each other. I looked at the money in the metal box. Jiyu Wenlin's hand was placed on Bai Xiaomai's most tender spot, kneading it. I naturally had no reason to suffer a loss. The debts from past lives can never be settled, but this life's accounts must be cleared. I took out half of the wedding expenses from the box. Bai Xiaomai also looked terrified. I've already enjoyed the big meal Bai Xiaomai treated me to tonight. So there's no need to send a gift. Even the most oblivious person could sense the change in me before and after. He couldn't comprehend what had happened in those brief few minutes. He only felt that something seemed to be spiraling out of control. After confirming that I was physically unharmed, he left with great reluctance, turning back every few steps. That night, I slept very restlessly. What I saw in my past life. Not long after leaving, Jiyu Wenlin caught up. Man. Let me explain. Xiaomai and I are not what you think, especially someone like Bai Xiaomai, who not only knowingly became the other woman but also repeatedly flaunted it in front of the legitimate partner. She always reports the disgusting things about Jiyu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomai in real time. No wonder those who knew him remained tight-lipped about him to me. I also dreamed of colleagues I had worked with for many years in my past life. Someone in the village saw Bai Xiaomai deliberately rubbing her body against Jiyu Wenlin, and Jiyu Wenlin did not move away. As for me, the wife, I was merely the wrong red thread carelessly tied by the drunken matchmaker in their words. How laughable. The dream ended. Tears soaking the pillow. But I'm still alive, healthy and alive. Isn't there still a chance in life? The next 2 days I was busy with work handover. Someone saw Bai Xiaomai and Jiyu Wenlin eating from the same bowl. Because the money box incident that night was quietly dropped, I thought that would be the end of it. Someone saw Bai Xiaomai and Jiyu Wenlin holding hands in a secluded place. She invited me over for dinner. Unable to decline their warm hospitality, I agreed. When it was time for dinner, I arrived with gifts in hand. At this moment, Jiyu Wenlin in front of me looked somewhat disheveled. I couldn't understand why he had done so much with Bai Xiaomai. When he saw me, his face turned paler than ever before. Were he and Bai Xiaomai being affectionate with each other outside? He was busy buttoning up his almost completely undone shirt. Without saying a word, I turned and walked away. Before Bai Xiaomai appeared, I was the only one who could get close to you. Bai Xiaomai had only been around for an hour, and you already took her to the hospital. He grabbed me, anxiously trying to explain. After knowing her for just 5 hours, you abandoned me to have a meal with her in the cafeteria. What's the matter? Was it the two of you embracing with disheveled clothes? Or was it your hand placed where it shouldn't have been? These past 2 days, even though I've been busy with work handover matters, I've heard plenty of gossip from Aunt Wang. Aunt Wang despises mistresses the most. After knowing her for only 7 hours, you allowed her to stay in our wedding room, sleep in our wedding bed, and use the bedding I prepared for our marriage. Sheets, she said. Perhaps it was because my words grew more shocking with each sentence. Jiyu Wenlin's body couldn't help but tremble. On the day we had agreed to get our marriage certificate, you fell in love with Bai Xiaomai at first sight. Bai Xiaomai also took a liking to you. So she pretended to be hurt. The injury prevented us from getting our marriage certificate. And at that time, because you had feelings for Bai Xiaomai, you actually didn't want to continue getting the marriage certificate with me. But these days, perhaps you've come to realize. You love Bai Xiaomai and want to spend romantic moments with her. He still comes running to me, telling me not to misunderstand. Do you still want me to stay at home taking care of his parents like in the previous life? I looked into Jiyu Wenlin's eyes and said word by word, but at the same time, you need a virtuous partner to help take care of your parents. If this virtuous partner can also help you provide for your parents in their old age and see them to their final rest, that would be even better. Am I right? Hearing this, Jiyu Wenlin suddenly looked up at me, his eyes filled with disbelief. You let her sit on your bike and wrap her arms around your waist, and you'd known her for less than 3 hours. Similarly, I won't allow Jiyu Wenlin to keep deceiving me. But at that moment, Bai Xiaomai appeared. Who man? You've come back too, haven't you? You were willing to spend half a month's salary to treat her to a lavish meal, and you'd known her for just one day. You barely knew her for a day. Yet you were willing to personally cook soup for her. You didn't avoid her touch, shared a bowl of rice with her, and held her hand. Now you embrace her, caress her. Can you still stand before me and swear with conviction that your relationship is purely innocent? Do you think I'd believe it? When you look at me again, your eyes are full of contempt and mockery. In your past life, what did it matter if you occupied the position of Wanlin's wife? You still, his lips quivered, yet not a single word escaped them. Let me guess why you're so afraid of my misunderstanding, why you insisted on explaining to me, even throwing money at me to make me believe you. She spent her whole life being a servant to his parents. Your husband is mine, and your son is mine too, and in this lifetime, even though you've been reborn, you can't change Wanlin, the fact that brother loves me. In this lifetime, I will be brother Wanlin's wife, and it can only be me. Although I was utterly disappointed with my son from my past life, hearing him call by Xiaomai mom behind my back still made my heart ache. By Xiaomai, like a triumphant rooster, chattered endlessly in front of me. But when I looked at her, I saw pity, sympathy, and compassion in her eyes. Everything but anger. Seeing his shocked expression, I actually felt sad inside. Sad that such a scheming person wasted an entire lifetime. Sad that what I thought were those sweet moments after marriage were nothing but a joke. I can no longer deceive myself. In this lifetime, without me covering for her and Jiyu Wenlin behind the scenes, can they still live a happy life like they did in their previous life? That night, I returned to the dormitory and packed my luggage for departure. By the light coming from inside the house, I could see it was Jiyu Wenlin. She glared at me with a fierce expression. I took a flashlight and went to find Bai Xiaomai. Seeing the calm expression on my face, she let out a light scoff. Bai Xiaomai was clearly taken aback when she heard I had come to ask her to take Jiyu Wenlin home. Jiyu Wenlin had fallen asleep, and Bai Xiaomai struggled to pull her away. The son you worked so hard to raise called me mom behind your back. Haha, isn't that hilarious? I followed her all the way to what was once the marital home I shared with Jiyu Wenlin. I saw Jiyu Wenlin, his face filled with rage, staring at Bai Xiaomai, who was sitting on the floor with her clothes in disarray. It turned out that last night, after Bai Xiaomai had taken Jiyu Wenlin back, thinking of Jiyu Wenlin chasing after me and then returning in a state of utter despair. Thankfully, in this life, whether he allows it or not, I won't bring him into this world. She took advantage of Jiyu Wenlin's drunkenness. Even though he mistook her for me, she still slept with him. But Jiyu Wenlin grabbed her by the arm. She fled in panic. To me, she was just another pitiful soul, no different from myself. Man, let me explain. In the early hours of the morning, unable to sleep, I stepped out of the dormitory to gaze at the moon, but I was startled by a dark figure sitting at the entrance. Jiyu Wenlin, I thought I made it very clear to you yesterday. He reeked heavily of alcohol. I don't know how long I've been sitting here. I realized that even if I were to live another life, I still wouldn't understand him. Jiyu Wenlin wanted to see through my eyes if I still held any affection for him. Jiyu Wenlin weakly let go of my hand, but still not saying a word. She followed me back to the dorm. Jiyu Wenlin and Bai Xiaomai deserved to be hacked to pieces. I didn't help. The man she fell in love with, let her deal with the consequences herself. The next day, as I was carrying my luggage and about to leave, Aunt Wang came looking for me. She dragged me along to see a spectacle. I heard news of Jiyu Wenlin again a year later. Bai Xiaomai ultimately fulfilled her lifelong wish, marrying Jiyu Wenlin and becoming his official wife. Not long after their marriage, Jiyu Wenlin took her back to the capital city. In my previous life, I had a good family background and a good job, yet they still disliked me, and how he got drunk and fell asleep in front of my dorm room. Even in his dreams, he was calling out my name. She couldn't sit still any longer. They looked down even more on Bai Xiaomai, who had no job. After roughly piecing together what happened from the villagers, I felt nothing but disgust. Grabbing my luggage, I turned to leave. So, they used every means to torment Bai Xiaomai. Jiyu Wenlin wanted to take Bai Xiaomai away. This scumbag just won't quit. I took a deep breath. looking at him with not a trace of emotion in my eyes. They believed that Bai Xiaomai, having no job, was marrying above her station by marrying their son. The thought of Bai Xiaomai ruined the good thing between me and his son, but to his disappointment, all he saw in my eyes was the indifference reserved for a stranger. Because I don't care, I don't get angry. Because I'm not angry, it doesn't matter. He finally realized that I truly don't care about him anymore. No matter what, they refused to let Jiyu Wenlin take Bai Xiaomai away. His voice was muffled as he softly said behind me, "I'm sorry, what are you apologizing for? This lifetime, or the last?" I left Yuanshan village, returned to the capital city. Seeing my healthy and happy parents again, I broke down in tears. Every day after my rebirth, though I may appear carefree, there's always a mountain weighing heavily on my heart. That was my entire life, a life so suffocatingly heavy. How could I possibly let it go so easily? They insisted on keeping Bai Xiaomai by their side, making her work like a beast of burden to serve them. But I have parents, a brother, and a sister-in-law. I can't ruin my second chance at life for the sake of two scumbags. Only now, seeing my parents, still healthy and unharmed by my mistakes, I finally felt the relief of having a mountain lifted off my shoulders. I spent a few days with my parents, enjoying the harmony of loving parents and filial children. I threw myself back into work, without the burden of my son and the GU parents. My work progressed exceptionally well. It didn't take long before I got a promotion and a raise. I was also appointed as a professor at the university, fulfilling my long-held dream of becoming a teacher. As time passed, Jiyu Wenlin saw Bai Xiaomai as nothing special after all. Without Jiyu Wenlin's love, Bai Xiaomai was no different from a common shrew. Not long after, Jiyu Wenlin applied for a transfer, and this time he did not take Bai Xiaomai with him. The Jiyu parents were far from easy to deal with. Later, it was said that Bai Xiaomai fought back. Then it was heard that Jiyu Wenlin had an affair. Bai Xiaomai, in a fit of anger, ran to the workplace and reported Jiyu Wenlin. The Jiyu household was in constant chaos all day long. She accused Jiyu Wenlin of raping her while he was drunk in Yuanshan village, but Mr. and Mrs. Jiyu disagreed, making a scene and threatening to die. What surprised me was Jiyu Wenlin. In the previous life, because of Bai Xiaomai's one regret, he resented me. They grit their teeth in anger. Gazing at Bai Xiaomai's memorial photo, he was utterly heartbroken. Childhood sweethearts can't compete with fate's sudden arrivals. Romantic moments under the moon are no match for the daily grind of life. She and Zeke's parents tormented each other, living miserably. This was something I hadn't expected. Indeed, those who can be a lifelong mistress to a scumbag are no pushovers. Seeing me leave, he was in pain and remorse. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.